Hi everyone. This video is going to show you how to do the methodology for your National 5 population assignment. The methodology is the first part of the assignment that you would write. It is worth 6 marks. So here's how to write your methodology. 6 marks means 6 different sentences. You must refer to 2 different techniques. When I talk about techniques in the methodology, it's important for you to understand that what you're writing are 2 paragraphs that refer to how you research the information for your population assignment. So technique 1. The first technique you used was to use a textbook. You read pages of a textbook and you need to be able to tell the examiner, as you can see that I've done in this example, which textbook it is that you used. You'll get 1 mark for being able to identify the source of the information. That's why I've begun this example with the word source. Next, what you want to do is to talk about some of the positives of using that source of information and then compare them to the weaknesses or negatives of using that source of information. Some examples that I'll demonstrate with would be that the book had lots of information relevant to your topic. It's easier to use a book because a book has an index which you can use to direct you to exactly what you want to know. Some negatives of using books, though, are the book only has a certain amount of information in it, so it was quite limited, whereas, for example, websites and the internet have an almost endless supply of information. And obviously, books don't keep up with the present day. They have a publishing date, so books will go out of date. So you can see that I've identified the actual source of the information. I've talked about why this source of information is good, and I've talked about why this source of information is less good. And that's all you have to do. You do not have to write the words source, positives, and negatives. That's just for demonstration purposes. But you should try and include in your paragraph what the source is, why it's good, and why it's less good. And that's technique 1. Remember, you must include 2 different techniques, each in a short paragraph. So that's technique 1 as a short paragraph. Technique 2 for the population assignment was done online using web resources. So your source here could have been, there's many sources that you'll have checked. The source here could have been the CIA World Factbook. Notice that I've given it its actual web address, and you'll need to do the same. And you need to check the actual web address of the sources that you've used. Some positives of using websites are that some websites are written by really powerful organizations, for example, the UN or the British government, or in this instance, the CIA, and that makes it reliable. The website, because it's so massive, had lots of information which made it easy for you to compare the different countries. The website is obviously much more easy to update than a book is, so it's easily accessed and the information is up to the minute. So those are the positives, and the negatives are that when countries give their data to websites like the CIA Factbook, you have to question the accuracy of the data when the countries give it. So countries do something called a census to gather information on the number of people in the country and the birth rate and the death rate. However, some countries are better at doing census collection than other countries. For example, the UK census is far more reliable than, for example, the Kenyan census. And there are lots of reasons for that. But all you need to point out is that sometimes the actual data that we're using to build these websites is less reliable due to the country that's handing the data over. Sometimes websites have so much information that they can actually be hard to use. It's difficult to focus on which piece of information you want to settle on. So there you have it, guys. You need to write 2 paragraphs. One that's called Technique 1. So write down Technique 1. Then you need to write the source of information you're talking about and its positives and its negatives. Then you need to write down Technique 2 and write a sentence that is the source of information you included in Technique 2, and then talk about its positives and its negatives. You can see that in total, I've written 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 sentences here. And that is easily enough to score the full 6 marks for your methodology. And that's it.